Hey y'all, this is Tittle. I figured it'd be good for the Unreal community to have a Milkshape to 2004 video tutorial outlining the entire process. Let's get started. First off, you need a model. If you're skilled, you can make it yourself. If not, there are a number of websites. I go to Models Resource. They have a number of models from numerous franchises. They also have a forum. There are also other forums. This is where I got Jill, Leon. There's also this database with many characters. Today we're working on Solid Snake, as you can probably tell from the background music. After you get the model, a couple things about the model. Some models come with skeletons, some don't. This one actually did, I got rid of it. A couple things about the model in Unreal 2004. You're shooting for lower polygons. This one has 4973. A typical 2004 model has around 2500. I've made models as high as 13,000, and if you do make a model that high, at the default 2004 settings, some of those meshes don't show up. What you tell people to do at that point is go to their 2004 display settings and set dynamic mesh LOD to highest. In this case, I'm not going to bother reducing its polygons because it looks like a great model to me. This is the Brawl model for Solid Snake. Another thing to note about 2004 models is it should only have 2 textures. If you have more than 2 textures, sometimes the third textures doesn't display 2004 effects, such as invisibility or the pulse rifle damage. The goal is to reduce the model down to 2 textures. There are a number of tools you could use to do that. One would be Blender, the old version of Blender. It has a consolidate textures tool. Sometimes you could do it manually. In this case, I simply went to Photoshop and combined the textures to one image and then simply moved them over. So yeah, that's model preparation basically. You can, if you do want to reduce the number of triangles, you can use tools, DirectX mesh tools, and you can lower this down and bring it down to, the range is usually, in the community, the range they usually argue to try to get is about 3,000 to 4,000. So sometimes I make a model right about at 4,000, but in this case I'm going to keep it at 5,000. It should be fine. Moving on. So we need to extract the 2004 default male skeleton. To do that, we're going to use a tool called UModel. Let me just switch to my 2004 directory. Basically, this tool you keep right in the root. When you download it, you'll get these tools. Put them in the root of your 2004 directory. Okay. And now the command would be umodel export. We're trying to export the default male character. So it's human male A. That's the package name. So let's type that in. And then press enter. It's going to go ahead and export. And now you'll have this, brand new folder in your Unreal directory. So in here you'll notice there's some skeleton files. The mesh and the skeleton files as PSK files. And you'll notice the animation, they all share the same standard male animation, biped male A. Okay, so now that we have those files in our directory, we can load them up in Milkshape. Going back to our model. Alright, so here he is, he's good to go. We're gonna go ahead and import that PSK we just extracted. Here. Alright, so it's a scalable mesh. And typically I use Merc Male B. You can ideally use any one of these, but I just happen to choose the B one for some reason. Alright, I just imported him. He comes with a skeleton, as well as the mesh for that character. You'll notice it adds 2 more groups, one for the body and one for the head. And he also added his textures as well. And this is the Unreal Skeleton, and you'll notice that like his pelvis is assigned to his pelvis, and he's all rigged up to the skeleton. Okay. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to scale Snake up to his scale. I put this on default settings. Maybe like this in front. Okay. Alright, so basically I'm just going to select his entire mesh, Snake's entire mesh. Or you can just go ahead and select them by group as well. Okay, and from here, first thing I want to do is, in order to scale them up, let me just actually put this report on my. Okay, that should be a better view for exactly what I'm doing. So basically I'm going to move him up in the y-axis upward. Let's move him 10 first, keep pressing it until he's in about the middle. Alright, when he's about the middle, I'm going to start scaling him up. So you have to do it in all the 3 axes. Okay, when you think he's approaching, I think it's too big. Move him up a bit more. Basically the goal is to line him up with the skeleton as best as possible. Okay, that's about good. Maybe just lower him down a little bit. Okay, I'm about comfortable with that right now. You want his shoes to match up about with the mesher shoes, and you could always change that later though. So do what you have to get him to fit about the default male skeleton. On this end, he looks like he's a little too forward. Maybe move him back. Okay, I'm about comfortable with that position. Alright, now that he's on top, I'm going to, at this point, I'm going to try to bend, obviously Snake's arms. Usually most models, once you import them, they're not aligned with the skeleton. Usually when you do this kind of thing, you really can't move the skeleton to fit with the mesh, otherwise you're going to have to redo all the animations. The most you could do to a skeleton is rotate it. rotate the joints. In this case, I'm just going to, I want to not have to do the animations because that's a long, tedious process with about 2,000 frames of animation. So I'm just going to adjust our mesh to match the skeleton. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and start to hide the Unreal mesh. I'm going to select some vertices. I'm going to start with the side first. So at this point, I'm just selecting the vertices that I consider his arm. Okay, it seems about good. I'm going to rotate. Oops, wrong way. Okay, you want to try to get this about parallel to the bones. That looks about right though. Now I gotta move them down. Okay, going to move it a bit to the left. Alright, for now I'm comfortable with that. This is obviously an art process. You tinker and you adjust until you feel like you have it about right. Okay, just taking a little bit longer with the look. Okay. Okay, I'm okay. I'm about comfortable with that. So you want to try to replicate the same effect on the other side. The good thing is that this actually remembers the last time you used the rotate tool, so I'm just going to change the sign and just change the sign to the x-axis as well. So there you go. So that's about similar. Okay, this obviously looks a little strange, so I'm just going to move those over a bit. An equal way of doing it would be to scale it on the X. Yeah, that's good enough for now. Okay. Alright, so now that he's about lined up with the skeleton, I'm going to get rid of the Unreal skeleton, which is still there. I just hit it. So let's get rid of him. And he also still has some texture files, material files. Alright, now what I'm going to do is, as a shortcut, I'm going to use one of the tools that comes with Milkshape is Joint Tool, and let it assign the nearby vertices to the bone, to the joints. And I went ahead and did that. And usually I notice this, for some reason it loses the texture value, so let me just reassign that. This is the preloading files. Alright. Okay, so now let's take a look and see what it assigned. Bit 1, I think it's a handle, so you can just see what's assigned to it. And that's not right. I mean, bit 1 is not supposed to have any vertices assigned to it. So I'm going to reassign those to the pelvis. Okay, so it's assigned, and now I'm going to assign it to the pelvis. Let's see what the pelvis has assigned. Not very much, apparently. Let's try to select some more for the pelvis. I'm just going to pick the range and then... Okay, so I would consider this range the pelvis about. Except for that. Well, I'm going to keep that. Okay. Alright, assign that as the pelvis. So that joint tool does its best, but it's usually not very good. not going to be perfect. So you have to see what it assigned and assign it to the spine better. Just going down the bones list. Spine 2 would be a larger segment, like it's the whole, like the real grunt of the chest. To help me, I'm gonna skip ahead to the head so that I could just hide it. So this is the head. I should also set the head, the eyes. Alright, so those two represent the head. I'm gonna assign that as the head, bone. And now that they're, I can just hide the head and the eyes so that could work a little bit better. Let me just select assigned. Yeah, because spine 2 is like a large segment, I'm just going to select as much as I can for it. Alright. Alright, I'm gonna call that spine 2. Assign. Let's see, there's probably nothing assigned to the neck. This is the neck. Let's grab some vertices. If you want a better view of what you're selecting, you could use this really cool mode that makes it feel like I'm in the Matrix or something. Okay, head is already assigned. Okay, it looks like right clavicle has nothing right now. I don't usually do that much for clavicle, but it is a portion of the mesh. I'll just select certain parts. Oh, it's the right clavicle. Let's see what's assigned for the right upper arm. Okay, usually because the joint tool assigns around the joint, you need to extend out. It needs to be, what it's supposed to do is select, what it should do, what it doesn't. It should select in between the joints, but it actually selects vertices around the joint. So let me just fix that here. This is an art process, really. Like, you know, you keep tinkering and you try to adjust as best as you can. This is obviously the longest part of the process. I'm just selecting the entire hand. Now, what you should do is probably bend his fingers. But I'm not going to do that in this tutorial. I just want to really get him out quick. You'll notice there's like a finger 1 bone. I'm not sure exactly which finger that bends. Bone weapon is another one of those like bib 1. It's not supposed to have anything assigned to it. It's just where he's holding the gun. Bone weapon. Okay, now go over to the other side. Okay, looks like it had some assigned here. Looks like there was a stray vertice assigned to the arm on his chest, so I'm just assigning that spine 2. Alright, now I'm going to assign on this side. The left hand I find is somewhat difficult sometimes, and for some reason it's lowercase right here, but I've had some problems with the left hand in the past, and usually I fix it with a little shortcut by assigning the left hand to the forearm, but let's see. We'll test the animations and see if that becomes a problem or not. Okay, I'm moving on to the thighs. Looks like I didn't select this area. Penman recognized the music. It's when Sniper Wolf dies. Or maybe that's a spoiler alert. Hopefully people have played the game by now. This is not exactly assigned to his knee, but you do what you can, and you could also move the mesh to line it up with the knee better, but I'm not going to do that in this quick tutorial. I think the music is done. Alright, so now I select both sides, and then say that's right foot, assign, and then I can deselect by holding shift and right mouse button. That's something that took me a while to figure out. Left, assign, and let's consider this area, the toes. Alright, I believe I went through everything. One thing I just want to explain right now, how basically that was all these vertices are assigned to like one bone, but usually what you can do, I guess in better programs like Blender, you can actually do some weighing where some of these vertices that are in between are on the joints should really be considered, sometimes considered more so, say in this case, this is considered pelvis. You can actually press show and see what's assigned to. But let's say you want them to move at a certain percentage, also affected by the left thigh. So what you can do is you can go here, say you want this to be about 65%, 65% pelvis, and 30% affected by the movement of the thigh. So you could assign it that way. And basically they're considered both. I'm trying to think of. So when they move, it animates better, more smoothly. I'm just doing the same thing on this side. And you would do this throughout the entire mesh in terms of weighing it, like on the elbows or even in the spine. When you're about done, you can let me unhide all that vertices. Unhide all. Alright, so now one thing I usually press once you're done rigging would be select unassigned, see if there's any vertices that are unassigned, Let's look for red. Any red dots that you happen to miss along the way. But usually if you use joint tool, it's always assigned to something or another. Alright, let me just go through the entire list and just double check. See what the pelvis is considered. Okay. You can actually double click on this to see where the actual bone joint is. Okay, looking good. So, next thing I usually do, I usually save it above now, just to back it up. Always want to keep saving because you always lose work sometimes. Actually, let me just check what this is assigned to. Should be the right, that is his little succumb pistol. Right thigh. That's good. Alright. So, what I usually do now is I check on the animations. After you have a PSK loaded, what you can do is you can also load that. Now you can load the animation file that you ripped way early. It takes a while to importing animations. And when it's done, it glows yellow. And you can, after you press the animate button here, you can actually see him in motion. And what you would do is you go through this and just see if something looks terribly wrong. Like if a joint is, sometimes you miss the vertex or something or another. And you can just go through the animations, take a look, see if everything looks good. Looks alright actually. I mean, what I would do is I would look at like his elbows and like you see how that left arm looks a little weird right there, and knees, see how they're bending. If you want to redo the weighting, you take a look at his pelvis. That looks a little awkward right there. Just like he probably needs some weighting. I would probably tinker with this much longer, and I don't like the way his neck is getting out there. I'll see what I can do about that. Like I might take part of his head and I think the neck vertices. Select this one. That's awkward. See how maybe that's only one thing though. Actually, I think the problem is that his neck is not so. I'll just assign to the head. That'll be an easier way to fix that problem. better. Alright, so once you're done tinkering with that, you can export the model. Make sure the animate is not in animated state. You go to export, and using this export function, the most important thing when you do it is you can either save it as a PSK or a PSA, but your goal is to save it as a PSK. Make sure you put that in. If you know, it's annoying if you don't put it right. So now it's actually exporting the model. Alright. Now it's probably already done. Like, I'm gonna go ahead and save this as Snake 3 as a backup. Alright, so now we have this PSK file here. In order to make the textures, DDS files, you just, there's a Photoshop plugin for that. So next thing I would do is I'll go to my Unreal folder, and I want to create a texture file for Snake, and I'm just gonna use someone else's texture file from another character. I'm using as many shortcuts as I can. Right, so that's Snake's text, and then he needs an animation file. I'm actually going to go ahead and, from the model that we ripped from the package that we ripped from, I'm just going to copy that. I just use as many shortcuts as I can. So that would be the animation name, and then one last thing he needs is there's a lot of UPL files that basically they're commands to load characters in the game. So I'm going to use one for I'm gonna copy that and just name it Snake. And we're gonna edit this file later accordingly. So now you open up Unreal Editor. Basically now is like the skeleton's ready, now we just gotta incorporate him into the game. Oops. So you just made this texture file, and I copied it from SPO. We need a portrait file, so let's just quickly Google one. So, Snake Brawl. Let's get rid of that brawl. Alright, I like this one. Alright, full size image. Save image as PNG. Photoshop. Usually the format for a portrait, I've noticed, is 256 by 112. Alright. Just give him a black background. Alright. You can say this is a cargo. Some people, you can write whatever you want in here. I tend to put bio. Alright, now let's get rid of this guy. Import. Bio is here, doesn't have any alpha. Okay, so that's in. Let's get rid of his texture files. import, and I made these earlier. I might go into a tutorial for how to make those as well. This file doesn't have any alpha. And ports. Yeah, his head actually does have alpha. Alright. Usually if a texture is 1024, by 1024 you should compress it. And this one has very complicated alpha, so it's actually a DTX5. So save your texture set. Did I press open texture set? Press save. Alright. Now, next step would be going to the animations tab. I remember I copied the. So basically, the model I used was Merc B. Right here. This is the guy I use as a base. So I'm going to copy his mesh properties. I'm going to import the mesh that we made. Just keep it named Snake1, that's fine. Alright, you'll notice he's not the right rotated properly. So you paste the mesh properties from the other guy. And right now it doesn't know what it doesn't know what animation file to use, but there's only one in this package, and you actually have to press to link it. So now it knows to use this animation. So I usually test one animation. So there you go, it's running. There are a couple of things you could do in this editor. You can actually make him bigger, and then you could also change like how far he is from the floor. So sometimes there's a case that you make a character smaller and they're kind of hovering in the air, and then you can, I believe you can increase this value to bring them down closer to the floor. Sometimes there are other things you can do too, like these sockets over here. If you change it to continuous update true over here, you can actually change the position of where he holds a weapon. You would do that, I believe it's the x-axis in this case. So you can actually even test a weapon. You can load it up here. I might do a tutorial for that later. So right now I'm not ready to save. I don't want to. This package is packed with the default models, so I might as well delete those extra ones. Alright, so now the use all the mesh in this package. Save it. Obviously this file is going to be smaller than the original file. Alright. Okay. Okay, we're done in Unreal Editor. Just done that. Alright, now I'm going to go back to that UPL file that we created for Snake. Open up Notepad, I usually just drag it in. So basically, this is the commands for the game to actually add the character to the roster. Give him a name. Let's call him Snake. Alright. You can put him into a category. Let's just put him in metal here, solid. This is basically the command which animation file to load for him. I call that Snake, and then the mesh's name was Snake1. This is where you would define if they're a robot, so they bleed blue. In this case, this is a mercenary human, so that's good. This portion loads the texture package and then the specific texture. Basically, what you put here, if you recall the last time you opened the file, basically you put this in order. This is the first mesh and this is the second mesh, whatever it is. So in this case it's Snake underscore body. to make as use as many shortcuts as you can. I usually can pump out a model in like 30 minutes, but right now I'm trying to explain everything. I believe that was called Snake Head. Double check actually. That's right. Double check. It's called Snake Head. Alright. And in this portion, portrait. And this portrait is actually the bio. It's called bio. Okay, text over here. Here you can put like a description for the character. I was gonna put name David Pater. Is that nice one? Is it David Pater? Let's find out. Yep. Okay. Favorite weapon. There's some properties for, like, you know, when they're bots. And about use one. Alright. Looking good. Usually there's some more properties, like sometimes you can put voice equals, and if you have a voice pack, you would put that package name. Certain other characters, let me just say this first. Other characters, sometimes the field files have, like, it defines the ragdoll that they use. For example, first, like you define the ragdoll male. I'm just gonna throw that in because I'm not sure why I don't see it. So make sure you get all the commands right here. Okay, just going through. Alright, looks good. Save. Alright, now we're going to test them in Unreal 2004. Let's just see if he's part of, if I can select him as a character. This was another model that was made before, I believe, by Fish Jerky. It's a pretty good model, actually. But I want to use the new modern model. Here he is. As you can see, this left arm problem, I'm going to quickly describe how to fix that really soon. I usually have a lot of problems with that left hand. Basically what I do is I end up defining it as part of the bone for, or you can translate it, or, you know, do what you can do. I don't know why this dot is here. How to do fix that hand situation. So basically you can just go back and find his left arm, left hand, select assigned, and now I'm going to assign it to the forearm, assign, and that's a really quick and easy way of fixing that left hand situation. But I don't really recommend it. I mean, you should come up with better means of fixing that situation. Call that Snake 1A. Same process, you copy mesh import, It's not perfect, but at least it's not completely bent out of shape. And what you would do to distribute this model would be, in my case, I just make a RAR file. I'll call it same 2004. Make some folders. So just match up the names of Snake APL over here. Right. So now that you all have it copied here, put it in here. Alright, and then you can also make a README. Write your own README. Credit whoever needs to be credited. Throw it in, and yeah, that would be. And then you could upload this somewhere and distribute it for everyone to enjoy. All right, that's it for now. That was a tutorial for a basic 2004 male character. Let's just see him in action now.